What's up, people? Joe Winko here, your favorite Hawaiian guy, and here's my next episode of Joe Winko Talk. So, this is going to be a somewhat personal episode of Joe Winko Talk, and another thing, it may be a bit offensive to a certain demographic of people. So, if you fit that demographic, don't take this video personally. I just want to let you know, really. I made a post about this on my fan page earlier today about what I was going to be talking about in this episode of Joe Winko Talk. It's going to be about an altercation I got in with a guy who I was talking to on Facebook who didn't really know his way around, basically. And it was just a slight altercation that we had on video chat. So it's nothing too exciting, but for those of you who love to learn stuff about my love life and my personal life, this video will this video has your name written all over it then. And also, if you're under 18, please don't watch this video because it is going to include some slightly X-rated stuff, which is going to be discussed. Some X-rated stuff is going to be discussed, so if you're under 18, please don't watch this video. And before I get to what I'm going to be talking about, I just want to make it clear that if you don't memorize or know all of the US interstates that run through the USA, the roads and everything, I won't I won't think you're an idiot for it at all. I just wanted to make that clear from the start because I am going to be discussing that quite a bit in this episode. So, just wanted to run that by you guys first. So, let's begin. As you all know, I'm a 22-year-old single guy living on the west coast of Florida, and for a long time I've been looking for a lover or a partner for a long-term relationship, but I wanted to find someone who likes to drive and who likes to go on road trips because I absolutely love going on road trips. It's a lot of fun. And I also hate flying. I even did a whole episode of Joe Winko Talk about that. I'll have a link to it in the pinned comments. I absolutely love road trips because they're a lot of fun, and getting there is always the best part. And seeing what's between you and the destination is always a lot of fun. It's always fun to freely explore this huge country that we live in. And I wanted to find someone who appreciates that with me and who'd want to share that experience with me also, really. So, this whole incident that I'm going to be talking about, it happened roughly 1 to 2 months ago. So it happened quite a little while ago, but it's been popping back and forth in my mind lately, so I just wanted to let you all know. That's why I really wanted to do an episode of Joe Winko talk about it, and also because it was so ridiculous too. That's another reason why. So, I posted my picture on a dating group on Facebook, and I said that I was a single 22-year-old looking for a male lover and partner to be with who would eventually want me to come live with them and who'd want to live in Florida since I love the state of Florida, but only after we get to know each other though. And I also mentioned that I love road trips and I was looking for someone older. So that's what I posted on Facebook in this dating group for men on Facebook. Eventually, this man sent me a friend request, and I didn't accept it because I never accept friend requests on Facebook. The reason why is because I don't like for my friend list on Facebook to get cluttered up because people talk to me all the time and then they forget about me soon after, but then they're still on my friends list, and then every now and then I'll have to go and remove them. Like, oh, I don't talk to this person anymore. Now I have to remove them. And it gets really annoying. And plus, I don't really like following other people and seeing all the stuff they post because a lot of times I really don't care what stuff they post. I know that sounds a bit selfish and weird, but it is true, really. However, I did talk to him on Messenger because that's what I usually do when I post a post on a dating site. I don't add anyone on Facebook. I just talk to them and communicate with them on Messenger. And when I read through his messages, I saw that me and him had talked before quite a while ago, back in October of 2016 when I was living in Wisconsin. Um, but for not very long, only for like a couple days. And I even had pictures of his ass still archived in our conversation on Facebook Messenger. And when I started talking to him again a couple months ago, a month or so ago, I told him that we talked back in October of 2016, that we had talked before, and then he said, "Oh, no, we didn't. I don't remember you at all." And then I thought, well, of course he doesn't, because people forget about me all the fucking time, honestly. Excuse me for swearing, but it is true. And I just thought, whatever. So, this isn't his real name, but let's just say his name is Max. I don't even remember his real name at all. I just remember how much of an asshole he was, honestly. But I'll get to that soon. He was in his late 40s, and he kind of looked like Jeremy Hall. Like, imagine Jeremy Hall, and for those of you who don't know, Jeremy Hall is actually a gay porn star, like something that I was never able to become at all. If you guys want to know the whole story about that, I'll have the links to those videos in the pinned comment as well. Um, he did look a lot like Jeremy Hall, except his hair wasn't dark at all. It was a bit lighter than Jeremy Hall's hair, and his eyes weren't that dark either. They were like a hazelish or blue color. I don't really exactly know because I only saw like one picture of him, and we only talked on Facebook Messenger during the video chat, and I couldn't really see his eyes very well because his side of the camera was kind of dark and everything. And another thing, he wasn't really as muscular as Jeremy Hall is, but he's kind of did have that same shape to his body, from what I saw of him at least, and I saw quite a bit, as I mentioned earlier. So, me and him started talking, and I asked him, "How did you find my profile?" Like, because I wanted to be sure that he actually read my post on the dating group. And I ask everyone that whenever someone tries to send me a friend request or whenever someone messages me on Facebook Messenger. That's what I ask everyone. How did you find my profile, or where did you see my profile? And then he said that he saw my post on the gay dating group and he said that he liked it. And I asked him, "What did you like about it?" And then he just said, "Well, you looked very sexy in your picture." And I was just like, well, no fucking duh. That's all anyone likes about my post on the relationship groups. They don't read about the stuff I'm interested in, or they don't watch through my YouTube videos. They just like my pictures and like screw everything else about me. And that's the only reason why they talk to me. And that kind of gets on my nerves from time to time, but I don't really let it bother me that much. And I didn't say that out loud to him at all either. And I didn't tell him that or type it to him either. We were still typing, we weren't video chatting yet. I told him that I live in Florida and that I've been living here for quite a while. And that I love it here because it's always warm year round and I never want to move away. But then right then he asked me, "Oh, well, when are you going to move over to Maryland and come live with me and be my lover and partner?" That's what he asked me, and I was just like, why the fuck would I want to do that? I hate the cold and I already wasted 20 damn years of my life living in Wisconsin. How stupid do I look to you? I didn't say that to him, but that's exactly what I thought right away when he said that. But I didn't say that or type it to him at all. But knowing what I know now about him, I definitely would have said that to him right then. But I didn't, so yeah. But I would never want to move away to someplace cold and leave Florida behind because I love Florida. I just told him that I love Florida and don't want to leave the state of Florida, which is absolutely true in all honesty, because I always felt like if someone really liked me, they would want me to live in Florida because that's where I'm happy at. Well, I'm happier here than someplace cold, I can tell you guys that. So then he asked if we could video chat on Facebook Messenger, and I said, sure, we can video chat on Facebook Messenger. So we called each other on Facebook Messenger and we started video chatting. And he was talking, I could tell he was using his phone camera, and I was using my computer camera to talk to him. So at first, it was just a bunch of small random talk between us, a bunch of random small talk between us that I don't really remember. We weren't really talking that long. Like literally our whole conversation and the whole entire time we were in contact, it literally all just happened in one night from when we first got in contact and the last time we were in contact. I hope that made sense to you guys. Eventually, I asked him, do you like going on road trips? That's what I asked him. And I had to ask him, I had to bring that up all by myself. He didn't ask me about it because clearly he wasn't paying attention to what I mentioned in the group post, even though I did mention that I love going on road trips. He didn't mention that when he was talking to me at all. And then he just said, oh, yeah, I like going on road trips. And that made me happy because I am looking for a lover or partner who likes going on road trips. And I even made a whole YouTube video about all the places I wanted to road trip to. Another video I'll link in the pinned comments. So we started talking about that. And I asked him, how far would you be open to going on a road trip? And the way he answered it, he was like, oh, well, I don't know, only 6 hours away at most. And I didn't fully know for sure what he meant by only 6 hours away. Like, does he mean that he would only take me on a road trip that's 6 hours away at a time? Like, he'd only drive for 6 hours at a time and then stop for a night? Or does he mean like that's the maximum distance he'll go is 6 hours away? Because 6 hours away from Maryland, you do get to see quite a bit of stuff 6 hours away from Maryland, but it doesn't really take you that far, honestly. So, I don't mean to be rude at all, but just throwing that out there. And I didn't know what he meant by that, really. He told me that he loves to travel, and I told him that I love to travel too, but I hate flying on airplanes, and I told him that road trips are much better. But then he said, "Oh, well, you and me will not get along with each other at all because I love to fly on airplanes, and I fly on airplanes all the time." And he was really serious about that. He wasn't just saying that to joke or mess around with me. I could see that he was pretty serious about that. And right away, I knew we weren't a match right there. But I was really bored that night, and I thought, might as well keep talking to him anyway. Maybe I could get him to say otherwise or think otherwise. I don't know. We were still video talking, and I told him again that I hate flying on airplanes and that I never want to fly on an airplane again and for as long as I live, which is absolutely true. And I said that it's miserable and not fun at all, which is also true because it isn't fun at all getting on a plane and having your ears pop and having to deal with all that overbooking flights and everything that the stupid airports do. And I said that road trips are much better because they honestly are. It's much funner to go on a road trip. And then he told me again that he loves flying on airplanes and it's much better than driving. And he told me that he once flew from where he lives in Maryland to Dallas, Texas, and he had a wonderful time flying from Maryland to Dallas. And I was just like, what? And I was like, you flew from Maryland to Texas? And I asked him, do you know how much you missed out on? Seriously? And he said, oh, I didn't miss out on anything. And I was like, yes, you did. And then he says, well, tell me what I missed out on. And then I quickly opened up a new tab in Google Chrome and I went to Google Maps and I typed in Maryland and then I traced the directions from Maryland to Dallas, Texas. I keyed them in and it brought me to this. Let me show you the map that brought me to. Let me show you. Okay. So that's what he missed out on. That's the road trip he missed out on. All of that. And you know how much fun that would have been to road trip from Maryland to Dallas, Texas? And I told him that you missed out on the beautiful northwestern mountains of Virginia, including the city of Roanoke as well. Then you missed out on the vast horizontal diverse landscape of Tennessee along the Interstate 40 corridor. Then you also missed out on the beautiful natural state of Arkansas. And as you all know, I absolutely love Arkansas, and I really have been wanting to go back there too. I like Arkansas. And then he said, oh, well, those places don't mean shit to me. And I honestly got insulted by that, honestly, because I did not appreciate that. But I kept my cool and I didn't snap on him. Like the whole entire conversation me and him were having, I was actually really well mannered and really polite and like happy go lucky and really friendly the whole entire time. And I didn't snap on him. And I understand that different people have different interests and different people have different passions and everything. And I kind of already understood that me and him weren't a match, but I don't know why. I just kept talking to him anyway because I already knew the conversation was already kind of heading south at that point. But I was polite and kind to him the whole entire time. I wasn't being mean at all. But I told him that he really did miss out on a lot of fun and a lot of adventure by choosing to fly there instead of road trip there. And I told him about my dream road trip because my dream road trip was to take a road trip up the entire length of Interstate 95 from Florida to Maine. That would really be a lot of fun. I always thought it would be a lot of fun because I always felt spiritually connected to Interstate 95. And to be completely honest, I really am spiritually connected to Interstate 95. And here's when things in the conversation started to get completely ridiculous with him. He told me that he drove to Florida once from Maryland a long time ago along Interstate 95, and he told me, oh, there's nothing special about Interstate 95, which is absolute bullshit because I actually did go on Google Maps and Google Street View and preview Interstate 95 and saw like everything that you drive by, and I thought it would be a lot of fun to take a road trip up Interstate 95 and to go through all those states that it runs through. It would be a really, really fun adventure. That's why I've always been so excited about it, and I've been talking about it for almost 3 years already. And it really does seem like an awesome ride. But he was telling me that there's nothing special about I-95 when I already know that that's a complete lie. And then he said, and one other time I took Interstate 75 from Virginia to Atlanta, Georgia. And right there, I was like, whoa, 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 slow down a sec. So, for those of you who don't know or who haven't been watching me for very long, I have a mild form of autism and it affects my mind in many different ways. But one major thing that I notice that it causes is that it causes me to be fascinated and or obsessed with certain things. I never get obsessed with people at all, especially not this guy, but I never get obsessed with people at all. But I do get obsessed with like objects and locations and experiences, mainly locations and experiences that I get obsessed with, which is honestly the kind of reason why I like going on road trips so much and why I enjoy going on road trips so much, because they're always a lot of fun and I always love road trips. But another thing is, I wouldn't call myself an expert on this, but I read up a lot about the interstate system in the USA, like the interstates that run through the USA, the roads that have the blue shields on them. And it's always really fascinated me knowing how they built these like fast lane roads and how they numbered them and labeled them and designed what place they go to and all the different states and all the different places they all run through. That's always fascinated me, really. And that contributes to why I love going on road trips so much. I know quite a bit about the roads and the interstates and what they're called and where they're located and where they go. Not all of them, but I do know quite a bit about the major ones that run through the USA and the ones that run a long distance. And let me show you a visual on Google Earth really quick. Let me bring it up right now. Okay, so first, let me show you my favorite highway, and I color coded it in red. My favorite highway, the one that I always wanted to road trip up and down on, was Interstate 95, the one that runs parallel to the Atlantic Ocean and it runs through 15 different states. It's the only interstate that I wanted to road trip up and down entirely, But I'm honestly open to road tripping anywhere in the USA, really, because road trips are always fun. But that's the major one that I wanted to road trip up and down Interstate 95. And Interstate 95, it runs through. Okay, let me name the states. I hope I don't get any wrong, but let me start. Okay, Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia. Well, it also runs through Washington, D.C., if you want to count that. North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. I probably didn't name all those in the proper order, but that's all the states it runs through. So the next major north to south interstate is Interstate 75, which is a major highway that I've actually been on quite a few times and which I actually live by currently in the west coast of Florida. And my adoptive parents used to take it on the way to Florida like all the time. And it starts in Michigan, like the Canadian border of Michigan, of the Upper Peninsula, and then it goes through Michigan, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Georgia, and Florida. Those are all the states that Interstate 75 runs through. But Max told me that he took a quote unquote boring trip from Richmond, Virginia to Atlanta, Georgia on Interstate 75. Okay, so what's wrong with this picture? Let me tell you, Interstate 75 does not go through Virginia at all. That's what's wrong with it. Interstate 75 does go through Atlanta, but it doesn't go through Virginia. Therefore, it's impossible for him to take a road trip on Interstate 75 from Richmond, Virginia to Atlanta, Georgia, unless what he actually meant was Interstate 85. And let me show you the visual. So there's another interstate in the USA. It goes through 5 different states, and it's called Interstate 85. Let me bring it up for you, and I even color coded it for you in purple. So it starts in Virginia, like south of Richmond, Virginia, and it intersects Interstate 95. That's where it begins, and then it heads southwest through Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and then it ends in Alabama. So it runs through 5 different states and it ends in Montgomery, Alabama. But it does go through Atlanta, Georgia. So that was most likely the road that he took from Richmond, Virginia to Atlanta, Georgia. I'm almost certain that he did take that road. And that doesn't sound like a boring drive at all. That actually sounds like a lot of fun. I'm not sure why he would think it was lame or boring. Just so you guys all know, I didn't ever start bashing him or insulting him at all. I didn't bash him or insult his intelligence at all. I was being polite and kind to him during the whole entire time. I wasn't being rude or mean or bitchy or snappy at him when we were talking on video chat. And I remembered right away about Interstate 85 because I built it in SimCity 4, but I'll get back to that later. And I said, Interstate 75 doesn't go from Virginia to Georgia unless she meant Interstate 85 instead. But what did he do? He insisted that it was actually Interstate 75 that he took from Virginia to Georgia. And I was just like, no, that's not true. That's impossible because that's not the way Interstate 75 goes. Interstate 75 goes through Michigan, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, and Florida. It does not go through the Virginia at all. But you must have took Interstate 85. But again, he insisted that he took Interstate 75 from Virginia to Georgia. And I kept mentioning, I think you mean Interstate 85. And he kept saying, no, it was Interstate 75. But it wasn't, and it couldn't have been. So, as I said, I was truly being nice and polite during that whole video chat session we had. But regardless on how stupid things were getting, I wasn't being rude at all. And I didn't call him stupid either. But then he told me in his arrogant voice, "Oh, dude, I'm telling the truth. Go look at the map again." And then I was just like, "Okay, I will." So I went back to the tab where I had Google Maps open, and he told me, "Look up Atlanta, Georgia on Google Maps." And then I said, "Okay, I'm actually looking at it right now." And then he told me, "Do you see Interstate 75?" And I told him, "Yeah, I'm looking at that right now too." And then he asked me, "What's the next city that is north of Atlanta, Georgia on Interstate 75?" And then I told him, "Chattanooga, Tennessee." And to be honest, I already know this, but I already know that there's more towns between Atlanta and Chattanooga, Tennessee on Interstate 75. The only reason why I told him Chattanooga, Tennessee is because it's a major town along Interstate 75, what I think is a major town along Interstate 75 because they have a Greyhound bus station there. And that's the reason why I told it to him that it's Chattanooga, Tennessee, the next city along Interstate 75. And then he was like, "What? That's wrong. Tennessee is south of Atlanta, Georgia." And I was just like, "Are you serious?" And I told him, "No, it's not. Tennessee is north of Atlanta, Georgia. All of Tennessee is north of Atlanta, Georgia." And then he said, "No, Tennessee is south of Atlanta." And I said, "No, Tennessee is north of Atlanta, Georgia." And then he quickly butts in and says, "Oh, I'm sorry, Alabama is south of Atlanta, Georgia." And I told him, "Are you kidding me? That's incorrect also. Alabama is west of Atlanta, Georgia." Unless he meant that Alabama is southwest of Atlanta, Georgia, then he would technically be correct. But directly south of Atlanta, Georgia, no, that's wrong. Alabama is west of Atlanta, Georgia, and it's west of the state of Georgia. Florida is the only state that's south of Georgia, but Alabama is not south of Georgia. And I told him that. Then at that point, he stared at me on camera and he went like really quiet for a couple brief seconds, and like he literally looked at me like he wanted to murder me, and he looked really angry and everything. And then I was just trying to lighten the mood, and I just told him, "Trust me, I know my way around. I spend a lot of time looking at maps." And then he snared back at me and he says, "Oh, well you're looking at a damn map right now." And then he hung up and the video chat ended, and I thought for a second, okay, maybe we got disconnected. So I tried calling him back on Messenger, but then he rejected it, and then he blocked me. And I was just like, "What the hell?" And I was like, "He told me to look at the stupid map. Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, seriously." Then for the next 5 minutes, I was just sitting at my computer, like absolutely flabbergasted by everything. But I really thought it was stupid that he got upset over that. But I kept thinking about it some more, like everything that just happened, and my autism mind came up with this conclusion. All right, so this might be offensive to a certain demographic of people who are watching this video, but don't take it personally. I know not all of you are like this. So as I said earlier, this man was in his late 40s. Like, he definitely wasn't a spring chicken. No offense to anyone who is in their late 40s. Well, that's how I prefer them anyway. Um, Before I say this, I just want to say I already know that not all older gay men are like this, but quite a few of them are, but not all of them. What I noticed a lot about older gay men is that sometimes they tend to be very arrogant and very arrogant from time to time, the ones that actually are. And again, as I said earlier, not all older gay men are like this. Definitely not all of them are like this. Some of them are very nice, but quite a few that I cross paths with tend to be very arrogant, and they act like they know everything and that they know all about stuff and that they're super smart just because they spent more time on Earth than younger guys like me. And that's the only reason why they think they're so smart. And I honestly see that a lot, and it honestly gets like really annoying when I see that over and over again. And then sometimes it gets on my nerves. It doesn't make me too angry, but sometimes it really does get on my nerves. And the thing is, when someone's that arrogant, with all that arrogance, there comes an ego. But when you're one of those men who think you're really smart and really intelligent just because you've been alive a couple decades longer than everyone else, you usually will have a huge ego if you're that type of guy. And you'll think that you're the smartest person on this father fucking planet, honestly. And when you have an ego that big, and when someone younger than you or inferior to you, as certain people like this tend to think of it, and they prove you wrong about something, even though it's like a little thing that's insignificant to you, it's like a shot to your ego, honestly. And it's bound to make you very angry, even if it's one little thing like getting the number of a US interstate mixed up. I mean, honestly, I think that's so ridiculous. And I knew that's exactly what it was, and I figured that out like really fast after he blocked me and everything. And thought, if I would have said that to a 20, 21, or 22 or 24-year-old, or even a 40, 50, or 60-year-old man who didn't really have that like whole thought process of, oh, I've been around longer, I know so much more than anyone else, I'm so much smarter than everyone else. Because there's a lot of older guys who aren't like that at all. There's a lot of older guys who are really modest and really kind, and who don't think that they're super smart just because they've been alive for so long. He probably would have just thought that, oh, maybe it was Interstate 85 that I took, and or he would have just said, I don't remember. I'm sorry. Or he would have just typed in on Google search the directions from Richmond, Virginia to Atlanta, Georgia, and would have saw that it is Interstate 85 that goes from Richmond, Virginia to Atlanta, Georgia, because obviously Max, the guy who I was talking to, did not do that at all. Otherwise, he would have realized that I was correct. Or maybe he did. That's probably the part when he got really angry at me and everything. But I honestly think it's really stupid and incredibly immature for someone to get angry just over something like that. Seriously. So, I didn't even feel bad when he blocked me at all and when he ended the call, because obviously we had nothing going for us. It was clear that he didn't want to move to Florida at all, and it was clear that he would never want to take me on a road trip to any of those places that I wanted to road trip to, that I talked about in one of my episodes of Joe Winko Talk. So I didn't really feel like I missed out on anything. But I did feel a tad bit disappointed because I still didn't find what I was looking for. But that was the only thing that got to me, really. That I was disappointed that I still haven't found what I was looking for. But that slid past me pretty soon. And I figured I'll find someone else who likes going on road trips and who doesn't care where Interstate 95 or 85 or 75 goes, or who wants to know about where Interstate 75, 85, or 95 go, and who's just excited and just as excited to explore them with me as I am, honestly. I said this before, but I'm going to say it again. You don't have to know where all the interstates are to become my lover and partner. Like, I really don't mind if you don't memorize all of them. Like, we'll figure out where they all go, and I won't think you're stupid at all just because you don't know all of the states that Interstate 75, 85, or 95 go through. And that'll just be another thing that I can teach you and another thing that you can learn from me. And I'd actually be really excited for that and would really enjoy that too, honestly. But don't try to make me look like a dumbass about things I'm knowledgeable about and fascinated by and passionate about, considering that Interstate 95 runs parallel to the Atlantic Ocean, where my biological uncle's ashes were scattered. That's another reason why I'm spiritually connected to Interstate 95, and also because I was born in 1995, and also because I always preferred the East Coast because it's not too far away from home. It's even closer now. Another thing to consider is Interstate 75 actually crosses the Ohio River, the same river that I want my ashes to be scattered Michigan after I kick the bucket, but I don't want them scattered in Cincinnati, Ohio. That's the city that's on Interstate 75 that crosses the Ohio River. I actually wanted them scattered in Louisville, Kentucky on Interstate 65, well, near Interstate 65 into the Ohio River because I'm spiritually connected. I have more spiritual connection to that area than Cincinnati, Ohio. I've never been to Cincinnati, Ohio, but that would be a cool place to visit, honestly. But enough of that gloomy stuff, really. And another thing is that I mentioned earlier, I actually built those interstates in the United States of Joe Winko in SimCity 4. I already finished Interstate 85, which runs from Virginia to Alabama, well, the Virginia to Alabama area, but I haven't completely finished Interstate 75 yet because I still need to build the rest of Michigan in the United States of Joe Winko. And also, I still need to work up on the northern end of Interstate 95 because I haven't completed the northern end of Interstate 95, but I have completed Interstate 95 all the way to, I think, Pennsylvania or New Jersey. I'm not really sure. I don't really remember, but I'm almost done with all three of them. So that's basically it for this episode of Joe Winko Talk. So what did you guys think of this episode? What did you think about what I said and how I reacted to everything? What do you think of what Max said and how he reacted to me telling him where Interstate 90, 95, 75, and 85 properly run through? And also, do you think it would be fun to go on a road trip up or down Interstate 75, 85, or 95? And which one would you rather road trip up and down, Interstate 75, 85, or 95? And why? Share your thoughts and what you would do on that road trip and everything. And feel free to share your opinions in the comments on everything I talked about and everything I asked of you guys. But if you have nothing nice to say, please keep it to yourself. I just want to say that. So thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Joe Winko Talk. Don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. So that's it. Peace out, people.